This is Angie.
And Rachel from Lip Speak Louder.
And you're listening to the In Obscuria podcast.
In Obscuria.
Welcome back, my friends, to the In Obscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name, Kevin Williams. That guy over there,
hola.
He's back. You're not going to believe it. He's back.
I decided to return one more time. Last time.
So glad you could stop by.
This is it. I'm
this
done.
This is amazing. We got him, folks. We got him. He's here, finally. Robert Harrison.
I may come back, though.
Oh, okay.
Even though I say this is my last one. I may come back next week.
All right.
Maybe.
Well, if not, I'm kicking you out of your house.
Get out. Wouldn't be the first time.
What's going on with you this week?
Oh, man.
Oh, you got your shoegaze shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
I love this shirt. This is a great one. My fashion designer that I have on staff makes these shirts for me.
Yes. They're very good. Very good.
Mr. Williams is his name, and
yes.
makes half my clothes.
Yeah, he's good. He's a tailor.
Keeps me from walking around unpresentable.
Taylor Williams.
Yeah, so I wore this out today. Let me tell you about my day.
Okay.
Yeah, I woke up.
Let's do it. As I'm taking a sip of beer, let's do it.
Woke up at a good time.
Okay. What's a good time?
Like 8.
8 o'clock. Wow, that's kind of late.
That's still morning. You know, I got up and I was out the door by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And that took me to...
What the hell did you do for 2 hours?
I got ready. I took a shower.
Okay, all right.
Brushed my teeth, shaved.
All right.
Whatever, my routine.
All
and then,
right.
like I said, I left the house at 10 o'clock, and at 10:03, I was at Waffle House. And I had breakfast, and by 10:40, I was back home. And that's it.
Here ended the lesson.
And then your day began.
That
was it. That was the day.
That was kind of the big adventure for the day.
All right.
I don't normally have a lot of days like that, but yeah, this day has been I fucked off all day long. I did not
sounds
do
amazing.
anything productive, and then it started to rain about 2, and so then I definitely couldn't be productive because I couldn't go outside.
So were you just waiting on the rain? Is that what you were doing?
I was
mentally waiting on the rain.
I knew it was coming. I was like, once it starts raining,
point. There's no point.
I can't really go outside and do work and Robert's stuff. I just have to. Yeah. Then so I had already picked. Last episode, I had regaled everyone my story of my blackberries.
Yes.
And
yes, you did.
This is blackberry season still, so I'd picked a big handful. So I made for you, sir.
Uh-oh. I should have been ready. I don't know what's wrong. What's wrong with me? Any minute now.
As I was saying, I made for you, sir. Oh, yeah.
That's right, Musketeer.
This is like a double whammy.
Time to get your grub on with the chef that can give it to you.
9, 12, 13.
Roberts, got no eating. That's right now, Roberts, got no eating.
So this is from the actual Garden of Eden and the metaphorical Garden of Eden, which is my kitchen.
Taking off the cover, I'm going to give the grand reveal.
Yeah.
You're going to see it here first, people online.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, it looks like a muffin. It smells like a muffin. I believe it's a muffin. Is this a blackberry muffin?
Yes, it is. Technically, blackberry banana muffin.
Oh, okay.
I gave it a little extra pizzazz.
We're going. This smells good. Let me go in.
The dog is about to die because he's staring at you right now and wants some of that.
This is a tasty
Muffin. He's licking his chops.
If you don't give it to him, he'll start drooling on the floor.
Oh my God, this is so good.
Is that good?
Ryan James DOD, this is so good. You're not going to believe how good this is.
Ronnie James D.O.G.
You're cleaning it up. Yeah, that was the most productive thing I did all day was make muffins. They're damn good, but
So
that's it.
hold on. I can't talk for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about how great the blackberries were and are. We're good. I took the bag home last night, or the other night, and I was eating them when I walked in the door, and I went upstairs, and Grace is just kind of chilling in the bed, getting ready for bed, and I said, "Look what I got, blackberries." And I handed one to her, and she's like, "Wash it off." I was like, "Okay, I'll wash it off."
They were pre-washed.
Because Asians wash every piece of fruit before they eat it.
I know, but I knew that, and I pre-washed them, but she wouldn't believe me.
So I gave it to her, and I was like, "It's like they're a little sour."
Yeah.
She stuck it in her mouth, started chewing, and she made the worst sour face I've ever seen. And it's like, "Give me that cup," and she spit it out. She spit out your blackberry,
you gotta
man.
finish it because it gets better. Because this is just the first one.
I told her,
it hits
like,
you hard, but the second one's really good.
I was like, I like the fact that they're super sour. It's like a Sour Patch Kid, but it's organic.
Yeah. So once again, if you have one of these, you got to just see it through. You can't give up that quickly.
No, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like sour. She was not a
so
fan.
much.
Not a fan of it. Sorry, man.
She was expecting the grocery store ones,
She wanted a sweet,
which are loaded with artificial
berry.
sugar.
What the hell did you just say?
I mean, there's so many artificial
The
products.
berries?
Yeah, and the store-bought fruit is horrible for you.
No, there's no way that's correct.
I'm sorry, I was trying to impress you.
Oh.
I don't know what it means. I'll be honest, I don't think anyone knows what it means anymore. Scholars maintain that the translation was lost hundreds of years ago.
They inject them.
Yeah.
Each little berry.
Spray them with
inject.
sugar. It's coated in sugar and acetaminophen or something like that.
I don't think that's right.
That's not.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I don't know, actually. Who
heard,
knows?
I heard it on a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That was, like I said, the highlight of my day.
All right.
You enjoying it was the second highlight. So it was the second round of highlights.
It was very good. The dog
loved it.
really, really enjoyed it. Not many dogs enjoy sour blackberry muffins.
Odd dude I've got living with me there.
And he's out.
He's
like,
"Oh,
God, I'm done.
My job. Oh, now he's back.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about him.
Let's see if I shake the bowl. Oh.
Yeah. See, look at him sit. He sits automatically. You don't have to tell him to sit. He's such a good boy.
He's like, "You fucker."
You dick. You put an empty bowl on the floor.
You dick.
Sorry, buddy.
He's going to go pee on your tire.
He is. That's all right. Okay, well, after you pee on some tires, go listen to Pot of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, Slamfest Podcast, Decibel Geek, A to Z Radio, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Disciples of the Watch, Podcast Rock City, Sean Geek and Fast Fret Podcast, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, Shout It Out Loud Cast, The Kiss Room, Ages of Rock, and Don't Forget About Monty.
Hey, this is Monty Colvin from Galactic Cowboys and Monty's Rockcast, and you are listening to the amazing In Obscuria podcast. Rock on!
Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us in obscuria.com. Like us, share us, Facebook, X, Instagram. Okay, so Robert, this past weekend, I was visited in a dream by a song that told me the time is right for this episode.
Oh, what time is it?
We have ripened. It's ready.
Speaking of ripe, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
See, it's the season for ripening.
Yes. It's wet outside.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not swampy enough yet. We can't go there.
It's only
it's not even hot out there.
62 degrees.
Good.
No, this is great weather.
Yeah, so we're not going there. No. I'll ask you this question because maybe this happens to you. Do you ever have dreams?
Oh, God, yes.
Not those dreams.
Oh, sorry.
But do you ever have these other dreams
Time
that
to
you're...
change the sheets.
What's wrong with you?
Ew. Do you ever have dreams that you are back on stage with a band, but you know that you haven't rehearsed, you have no idea what song they're playing, and you have no idea how to play it, and you're just up there?
Now,
have you ever had that?
That's called a memory, not a dream. I remember that distinctly. Coming around the corner in a song, and you're playing it, and you're like, okay, here's the bridge, and all of a sudden, like 30 seconds before that, you're
just
like,
memory lapse.
What was that? how do you, and I'm singing and I'm playing, it's just, adrenaline pumping through you. And you're like, and you just, because we've practiced, we were professionals, you just flow into
muscle memory.
But that momentary panic sets in. So absolutely, I have that dream. Yeah. Once in a while, and it's the same thing. I'm playing or doing something, and it's coming up, and it's that transition. But it's not just rock band. I have, and it's not nightmare. I call them stress mares. It's just when I'm stressed out. It's that anxiety. I have those same dreams of marching band.
And this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my pussy.
Excuse me?
Oh, wow. You go way back.
I go way back.
Wow.
And I'm like, that is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's been
how many years?
22 years since I was in a marching band.
At least 20.
At least 20. More than that. But yeah, it's that same thing where you had a routine. You would march this way, 10 steps, and then you stop, and then you turn right. And I would have that realization that, like, I don't know what that next move is. And we're in place, and we're got to go, and I don't remember how to get there or something like that. And I wake up, and I'm like, God, that is the stupidest dream.
Are you hearing the voice of the band director getting angry with you?
Oh, God. I mean...
Or are you hearing something else?
Every 35 seconds, I was, Harrison!
Oh, I was going
to... Harrison! Stop! Sit down! Shut up! That's all I heard.
I did band for 1 year. This is what I heard every time we went to practice. Williams! That's the wrong steps!
Get in step! Our band director was super cool, though. I mean, we all feared him, but looked up to him at the same time. And when he just passed away, I think it was 2 years ago, and I was down there. We gathered back for his funeral because he was really cool. He would chain smoke. Like, this was the last of the cool.
Back in the day.
He drove a Corvette.
Oh, wow.
Like a 73 convertible Corvette. He come rolling up with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, getting out of that. He was just cool. But yes, that fear, the healthy fear that he put into us, the anxiety.
Did he have a bullhorn?
Oh, he didn't need it.
Oh,
he had like
our guy had a bullhorn.
Yeah, but he would just point at the assistant, and so he wouldn't, sully himself with just talking. He would just point at that guy, and the other guy would be like, "Get in step."
Oh no, our guy. I don't even remember his name. I only did it 1 year in ninth grade, and then I realized, you know what? I could sell this trombone and get a guitar.
Oh,
that's a good thing to do.
It's nice to have that choice. Yeah, I would have gotten disowned if I had done that. But yeah, the nightmare, stress mare, whatever you want to call it, it just takes different forms. But it's the same theme where you're in the middle, something that train's rolling, you can't stop it, and you're unsure if you know what to do next, and so it just takes different forms.
So before I go into the dream, I do remember this about our band director, whatever his name was, but he was a younger guy. He took over for somebody that had been there for years and years who retired. And everybody loved the guy that was there before, and nobody really liked this guy because he was a hothead. Like he was always yelling at us. And he was young, he had a beard, and this is like 1989.
This is before beards
88. His beards weren't cool. He had glasses and a beard. He looked like a serial killer, basically.
Oh, great.
And he had this really bad hair, and then we realized it was a toupee because in the summer when he would get really angry and that toupee had been, the sun had been beaten down on it, when he would get all animated, it would actually come off the top of his head in the back and flap around.
Oh, that's the
worst
hilarious
thing.
Now, ninth grade, was that junior high or high school?
That
could go either way.
It was my first freshman. I was a freshman in high school.
But no teacher, junior high or high school, should have a toupee because there's going to be that day, and you just lose all respect for that person after that.
Oh, yeah. It would flap around.
You're all the same with your beady little eyes and flapping heads. You're trash.
I resent that. I find that racist. Finish. Please, can I finish? Okay, I'm finished.
That's a horrible sight.
Oh, no.
He's probably having a great life as an insurance salesman right now.
If he's alive.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I will say I did have, this wasn't a dream, but I do remember having a very stressful, we went on a road show with the band I was in college, and for some reason I got inside my head, and it was like a 4-hour drive. We were playing just outside of Hilton Head in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Oh my God, the metropolis.
Beaufort, South Carolina. We played at this really cool place called Plums, and we played there several times, and we were just a trio called Confunky Fried.
Oh yeah.
And for some reason I got into my head on this 4-hour trip from our college town to Beaufort, and in my head I was like, I can't remember any of the songs.
Any of them.
And I was like, wait, I was trying to think, where did my fingers go? Now I don't have a guitar in my hand, so of course you're overthinking, and I got myself so worked up, and as soon as we got to the place and I put the guitar in my hand, it all just came back to me.
Yeah.
But it's easy to get into your head and think that you don't know what you're doing. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a dream that I have fairly often where usually I'm on stage with the Squire. That's usually what it is. And I haven't practiced and I don't know what song they're playing and they're like ready to go. And I'm just standing there like, I have no idea what to do. And it's just like overwhelming fear that I have.
Got to find the root, man. Just find the root.
So in this case, I was not on stage with the Squire. I was on stage with a band that I have never been part of, and I was very confused because I didn't recognize who I was on stage with. And then they started playing this song.
Did they have makeup?
They did not have makeup. Okay. No, I would have actually been cool with that. I would just stood there. It doesn't matter. They played their tracks anyway.
My last show anyway. I don't care. Whatever. I'm getting fired after this.
No, but I was like super confused. And then they started playing this song, and I realized I was really in a bad place because this is what started playing, minus the bass guitar that you're about to hear.
Robert's Garden. Oh, not that one.
No, not that. Yeah, I didn't know how to do that.
Epilepsy helps.
I still don't know how to do that.
Oh, I know this. Technically, nobody knows how to play this except them.
Oh, yes. So that's what I was hearing on stage, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I'd same thing.
Yeah.
Crap in my pants.
I was on stage with Mr. Big, and instead of their usual bass player extraordinaire, there was this guy.
Because we met him at Rockin' Pod, struck up a friendship. Their current bass player, what's his name? Shenanigan, Billy?
Shenanigans, yes.
Shenanigan. Yeah, he was ill.
Theodore Shenanigans.
Yeah. He overdosed on potted meat.
Yes.
And then they called you. And
they called me up because Eric remembered us.
Yeah, Eric's like, I remember you said you were a bass player and you liked us, so just come out here.
Yeah, and what happened was it didn't sound like that, and I'm just standing there, and then Paul Gilbert and Eric Martin are just looking at me with pure disgust.
You are not the person we thought you were, sir.
Yeah, not a dream. That's called a nightmare. And
that is a nightmare.
I was completely embarrassed and humiliated in the dream. And why does that happen? This happens more often than not with me. There's never rainbows and unicorns in my dreams. No, my dreams are pure torture.
Spicy food after 9 o'clock. I've told you this, Kevin. You got to cut that out, man. The chili at 9:45. No, you can't do it.
Well, in any case, I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt for one Billy. So I believe it is time. Episode 287, Billy Sheehan, Songs from the Road. I'm going to drink to that. Because I don't have to play those parts because I don't know how to.
I don't have a beer. I don't deserve a beer.
You don't deserve a beer
I've
tonight?
not done anything. The muffins were good, but I don't deserve a beer. That's a shame. Next time, I'm going to try to deserve a beer.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there for the universe.
All right. Well, are you at least happy? Are you ready to listen to some Billy Sheehan tonight? Some amazing bass playing?
I'm just happy to be doing something other than just farting around all day.
So, we're still kind of technically farting around.
Yeah, but I have a purpose here.
I see.
Yeah, I'm fulfilling my contract here.
This is true. Yes. Okay, well, before we move any further into this, I wonder what Captain Content and Mighty K think about this. We shall see.
Captain
Content.
And this is my faithful companion,
Mighty K.
Say hello.
You dick. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that Billy Sheehan interview. But I guess I'm going to have to wait till later in the year for some god-awful reason.
I just told you we were playing it.
Christ on a cross, what's up with that?
We're going to play it right now.
What's up with the blasphemy?
Sorry, driving, of course. Oh, now I can't. I am, what is it when you're I'm patient. Oh my God. I'm patient. I can wait. Bye.
She is a patient.
Okay, we're rolling.
Maybe needs to be a patient.
I think she hit somebody, too.
I don't want to be an accessory to the fact or after the fact.
And she just kept going, didn't even think anything about it. Oh, well. Well, we know that she's okay with this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the miscommunication is, but we're going to continue forward. We are doing it, Mighty K. We're doing it right now. I don't understand. So let's do a little setup here. Billy Sheehan was the last interview of our day at Rockin' Pod just a few months ago.
And this time it was intentional.
It was intentional. This was actually not just him stopping by to check out our potted meat.
Yeah.
Although there might be some of that in here.
There was a little bit of a hangover from the previous time.
So here's what happened, though. As soon as he sat down, my computer right here in front of me decided to glitch. Do you remember this?
Oh.
And I had to completely reboot it and apologize to Billy as he sat there. But he was fine because we prepared for this type of thing.
Because we are professionals.
We had a whole tiny little coffin full of Reese's chocolate eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And he was enjoying the peanut butter eggs. He's like, no problem. I'm just going to sit here and eat eggs.
Good thing he wasn't diabetic.
And that's what he did.
Small talk and Reese's eggs. That got us through that awkward pause.
Yeah, so I had to reboot the laptop, and then I had to get the software and the notes and everything back up. So, you're talking...
like 42 minutes later.
I was fairly happy with myself. I didn't freak out. I'd drunk enough beer that I wasn't freaking out. And
we've been the end of the day.
We've been talking all day. We were in the
really
zone, man.
We were loose,
loose. He was just hanging out with us. He didn't care, but we did chop off about 5 minutes of our interview time because of all this.
His handler wasn't happy.
Yeah, we actually talked about the last Mr. Big tour where they just ended in Japan and how amazing the shows were, but none of that was caught on recording because we weren't recording yet.
Yeah.
Yes. So we don't have any of that in here, but we don't need to talk about that.
It was amazing.
It was great. It's the best interview pieces we've ever had. So we're going to play a interview with Billy that was cut a little short. And so what I've done is I've chopped these up into short interview segments that we're going to re-listen to because I'm sure we don't remember everything.
Tiny little audible muffins.
Little audible. That's sour.
That is my next band name.
Audible muffins.
Yes. It's going to be more acoustic-y. Granola-y.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. So we're going to have these little segments, and then we're going to play some of the more obscure bands from his very vast discography, which we also talk about. We're not playing any Mr. Big, no David Lee Roth, Winery Dogs, Sons of Apollo. That stuff's all fairly mainstream. People know that stuff, so we're not going there.
You can find that anywhere.
Exactly. So we're going to go a little deeper in some of this. Now, I will say this as well. This is more of an apology to you.
Oh,
so before we play
Accepted.
this first segment, internally, what was happening inside of me as I'm getting ready to, having the computer meltdown before we do this interview, but also he's sitting directly across from me. He sat on my side, and internally I was freaking the fuck out because I'm talking to Billy Sheehan. And this guy, he's been a hero of mine since I first saw the video of David Lee Roth's back in the mid-'80s where I realized, oh, that's not Van Halen. He's got a new band, and, who are these guys? And
he's a lot taller than Michael Anthony.
That he is. And he doesn't have to carry the amps.
You dick!
And, for me, he is up there with Geddy Lee and Chris Squire on my list of just untouchable bass heroes. He's just an amazing bass player, and he can do anything. And so in this interview, I realized as I was editing, that's why I'm giving you this apology now. I talk a little too much and a little too fast during this whole thing, and I basically suck up all of the air that was around us.
So are you comparing this to, let's just say, a certain Brandon Steele from Meeting Rush?
Yes, this is very much there's a little bit of that in here.
Okay.
So
we all understand that.
I was geeking out a
That's
little bit.
That's why they say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Because you always look like an idiot.
And I didn't give you any space whatsoever to say even a syllable. And so apologies to you. Very much unintentional on my part, but I was just geeking out. So
it was the end of the day. My brain was starting to become a little mushy. So I might have just checked out and went, oh, you got this. I'm just going to sit here and drink a beer.
You had brought the backpack of beers, I believe.
A snack. Yeah, it was the snack pack.
You were eating the snacks, but I think I was drinking all of the beers.
Yeah.
So
I only had like 2 or 3 by that point.
Yeah, I think I had like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's why you're Chatty Cathy.
Well, plus I was just, like I said, internally just freaking the fuck out. So let's play this first section, and then we'll talk about the song we're getting ready to play. Welcome to the In Obscuria program. I am super excited. I'll try to contain my fanboy stuff going on here.
You're allowed.
We have Mr. Billy Sheehan with us, and
My pleasure.
Welcome,
Thank you
sir.
so much. Thanks for having me.
So we have not, because of who we are, we've not covered your work with Mr. Big or David Lee Roth on our show, because what we do is we're in obscuria. We try to cover bands that are either lost, forgotten, or should have been huge in our opinion. So
I know several.
So you might see Talus here.
That's great.
I always thought Talus should have been bigger than Talus were, is the first thing.
Cool. Thank you.
Now, we have discussed some of your work, some other things that you've done. So I'm going to have some visuals here.
All right, here we go. This is a test.
All right, so one of the songs that we played that you played on was on this album called Thrasher.
This is one of my first recordings ever. Yeah, the demos were quite amazing. Then when they added a lot more stuff after I played bass. So a lot more guitar and things like that.
So was this ever intended to be anything more than just we're going to get a bunch of different artists together and put an album out and see what happens?
Playing. But I'm still in touch with Carl Kennedy, who set that up, the drummer from the Rods.
That's right. And then Spitz was on that, right? He was Did you actually work with Danny Spitz?
No, I was. I went down to their place in where I'm in Western New York. That's kind of more central New York, where they are.
Okay.
I remember went down there and. I don't recall, did I stay on somebody's couch or was I in a hotel? I don't even remember. that was a long time ago. That was before you were born, I think.
No, not me. But so the other thing, because I actually bought this.
So, first of all, compliments to your voice, because you had that Barry White thing going. I think you were talking all day.
I've been talking all day long.
And really deep there. Sounded great.
I almost think he was trying to match us, because you and I are both we had dropped down a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
Talking.
Well, unconsciously or subconsciously, you tend to mimic people that are talking. If they're really animated, you get animated. But we were down there in the basement talking.
We were chill.
That. Yeah, oh yeah, hey bro, what's up?
Yeah, I sucked up all the air in that little segment there. But
he was talking, and you just jumped right in.
Well.
Hey, listen, I had none of the facts and figures that you had in your head, so I left it to the expert on the panel there and let you just go for it.
And what's really good about what I did there was I used visuals to have a conversation. That's so awesome for an audio-only podcast.
Yeah, you're like pointing. Isn't that great when you point as you're talking?
Yeah, so what I brought out was the album Thrasher from 1985 that came out on Combat Records, and it's really not a thrash album. I think they were just trying to capitalize on what was happening with thrash music, but they called it Thrasher. It was put together by, you heard him talk about Carl Kennedy. He was a drummer. He put this whole thing together, this whole cast of New York musicians. So you had members of the Rods, members of Manowar, Talus, being Billy, Anthrax, and Dust. So you had a bunch of folks, as well as we played a track on episode 248 last year, which was our episodes about Riot. And we played a song that Rhett Forrester, actually that was a supergroup episode, but we played Riot's lead singer, Rhett Forrester, who also was a singer on some of these songs.
He was the one that was killed in the
He was the one that was killed in Atlanta, yep.
Yeah. Of course, of all places.
Yeah, well, that's where he was from.
Hasn't really improved since then.
Right. Now, the song that we played last time by Thrasher, because it's kind of a project band, it wasn't Billy on bass. It was Kenny Aronson, who's another superstar bass player from New York. But in 1985, this thing came out. Now, you heard Billy mention, he said, I think that might have been my first recording, which I thought that was really weird because the first Talus album came out in 79. So I don't know if he meant the first one outside of Talus or if he meant...
What did he say, first demo?
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering.
Not necessarily recording, but a demo.
Well, I wonder if they actually recorded it over several years and it just didn't come out until 85.
That's true. It could be sitting on a shelf.
But I don't know. I guess I should have,
we'll
investigated that a little more.
Next time we see him, because we're such good friends, we'll hey, man, I forgot to ask you this.
So we're going to play another Thrasher song from this album, but of course it's going to feature Mr. Billy Sheehan on bass, and this song happens to feature Dan Spitz, who was with Anthrax for quite a while, no longer, but he used to be with Anthrax. He's on lead guitar here, and from what it sounds like to me, they were never in the studio together. It sounds like Billy did this with the drummer, recorded it, and then what he was saying was they added all the guitars and stuff later. So just a true project album, which was kind of interesting to come out in 1985. That wasn't really a thing, but
I mean, during COVID, yes, but
right. This is pre-COVID,
decades before COVID.
So here we go. Here's Thrasher from the Thrasher album with a song called "Burning at the Speed of Light."
All right, so we'll get the 300-pound gorilla fan out of the room.
Okay.
And say, yeah, the production quality wasn't that great.
Yeah, not so amazing.
I liked it. Now, the end got really over the top, and that's to be expected for that time period. But
1985.
A lot of thrash bands tried to be over the top from the very beginning of the song all the way to the end of the song, where that had some build to it. It had some openness to it, the beginning of it at least, up to where the double kick kicked in. But yeah, I actually like that.
I've had this album forever. It's not the best songwriting in the world. It's not the best. They're not a band because it's just people playing, but I didn't know that back in the day, and I thought it was a band called Thrasher. I didn't know. I didn't even know who the people were.
But back then, if you had a compilation recording like this, I mean, you had tapes. You either had to invite people over or you had to mail them across country or across the world, and, we take it for granted now. Oh, I'm going to send you a couple of files. Throw your track on, send them back over here. It's not a big deal.
I just knew this was on Combat Records, and there were a whole bunch of bands on Combat Records that were cool. And so, therefore, it was in the bargain bin, and I got it.
$3? I'll say yes.
Oh, sounds good. But definitely you can hear the Billy touch. There was one point where he was also just going off on the bass with the guitars. So it's, just classic Billy Sheehan. He's going to best any guitarist who thinks they're a wizard.
Oh, yeah. As soon as the guitarist is shredding, kind of walks over towards the bass player like, yeah. And Billy's like, dude,
hold down the bottom, dude. Yeah. Hold down the bottom. No. That's not what I do.
We'll step to the front of the stage, just show you up a little bit.
We're just going to play in unison or in harmony. Okay, so let's get back to Billy. Let's talk about his band that he started in, the band that gave him, I guess, the ability to become who he was, because this band Talus played, I want to say I read something that they played every day of the year, or at least they played enough gigs during the year with multiples per day that they were doing more gigs than there are days in the year.
That's dedication.
For years they did this.
Dedication.
So let's hear from Billy. Other thing I have that I've had in my collection for quite some time is this album you may recognize.
Talus.
And I look at the picture on the back, and I'll just hand that to you. I don't know how long it's been since you've looked at it, but what would you say to that Billy now? Would you say anything to him to alter anything that you've done, or would you say just continue down the path, sir?
I would say continue down the path, because it ended up in a pretty good spot. So if you changed anything there, it may have ruined everything. But that's my cousin John's head, and the front of it, it's supposed to be. That was taken from a photo of me. My head was back and my mouth was open and my hair was flying. So we got this. Our photographer knew a sculptor who had been commissioned by New York State to do several sculptures, artistic things in various spots, federal buildings and things like that.
Wow.
So this was the clay version that they would have used to make the
metal mold.
Actual metal. And it broke apart and it's gone now.
So I always assume this must be some sort of Greek or something thing that they found,
Medusa
History not the History Channel, but some magazine we'll just use that. No, they actually made this.
Yeah, it was actually a clay model.
It's really cool.
It's a model of somebody with a lot of girls on their mind.
And snakes. I don't know what Freud says about that, but we'll just move on.
You couldn't edit out that last half second.
What do you mean?
That was me going, I was going to say something. So it just sounds like I'm just sitting there until he stops talking and I go,
I don't think there was anything else. I think it was just, and then I sucked the air out.
No. I said something really brilliant.
Oh, did you?
You completely edited that out just to make me look bad. Right?
Wasn't on purpose if I did, but no, I don't think so.
Never mind.
Yeah, so obviously here's another visual. So if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about the Sink Your Teeth Into That. It's an album that came out by Talus in 1982, and the front cover is unique. And I always just assumed it was something they found, but it's basically, it looks like a bronze bust of a demon screaming whose face is actually made up from several naked ladies and snakes.
As you would. I mean,
the
classic art right there.
And he just said that was originally a picture of him. So I'm assuming that's an interpretation of a photo of him that the artist then made out of naked ladies and snakes.
Because that's the best medium to work with. I love having those over.
So go check that out because it is a unique cover. But that's what he was talking about. And I'll say this, I didn't know Talus until after I got the first Mr. Big cassette. So when the first Mr. Big album came out in 1989, I had it on tape. And I went to Walmart and I had read about Billy Sheehan. Obviously, I knew he was in David Lee Roth. But I had read, in Hit Parade or one of those magazines that he was in a band called Talus. And I had never heard of them. But I was at Walmart around that time and it was in the bargain bin. It was a tape that said Billy Sheehan, the Talus Years. And it had a picture of just Billy on the front. And it's obvious it was a picture taken when he was in David Lee Roth because he's wearing like the spandex and the stuff that they wore in the David Lee Roth band. But it's just a picture of him and his bass live. And it's called Billy Sheehan, the Talus Years. And what it contains is this album on one side of the tape. And on the other side of the tape, it was their live album that came out after this one.
That's a score.
So I think it's funny that, I guess it makes sense. So they were marketing, we don't think we could sell these if we just call it Talus. So we're going to market this as Billy Sheehan because he's a name now in the magazines and on MTV because he's with two big bands now that have, so I guess it just makes sense.
That's exactly how record companies think, yes.
But if I were a member of Talus, I'd be a little pissed off.
Okay, well,
but, I guess you're moving units, so what does it matter? Moving your unit.
What the hell did you just say?
No, moving units. That's what it was.
Yes. No, it's not moving.
Right. Okay. So anyway, we're going to play from the Talus album that we were talking about, which is Sink Your Teeth Into That. I'm going to play the song High Speed on Ice. Now, I will say I could have played Shy Boy, but most people know that song.
I was going to say, I know that one.
Because he played that with David Lee Roth. Yeah. I guess DLR needed some more songs when they were putting out Eat 'em and Smile, and Billy goes, I got a few.
Yeah, I can get some writing credits if I throw this in there, sure.
So he gave him Shy Boy, but there's 3 songs on this album that are just absolutely amazing. Shy Boy, High Speed on Ice, and the song Sink Your Teeth Into That. But I'm going to play High Speed on Ice.
That's another banger right there. That was a great example of hard rock, almost metal, right before it kind of made that transition to the 80s sound and 80s style. It's kind of a rainbow. I could picture Mr. Ronnie James Dio singing that song and throwing in like 5 different look out, watch out, look out.
Oh man, that would have been cool.
It's high speed on ice. You have to warn them about the dangers. He's got to let you know.
You know what they called their live album?
Look out.
Live Speed on Ice.
Oh,
see what they did there?
so clever.
Yeah, man, this is 1982 when this came out.
Yeah, that's right.
Right on the cusp of the metal movement.
And we've talked about how many bands, Triumph, 70s. All the bands that had that early 80s sound, but may not have transitioned into the late 80s sound.
And so Talus were the perennial Buffalo band that opened for every single one of those bands that came through Buffalo. But were never
couldn't quite
elevated to that next level.
Yeah. And they had it right there.
Yeah, it was so good.
That was just as good as all the other bands we've played. I mean, I like that.
They were huge regionally. They just, just like Kix, the band Kix were from...
Oh, no, sorry. I misunderstood.
No. But they were a band from...
I offended.
They were a band from Baltimore, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, regionally, they were huge, and they finally did break through because they just kept going a little bit.
Our Marvelous Three.
Exactly. But Talus were the same thing, and they were just that Buffalo, Western New York area. They were huge and opening for everyone, just never did it until finally Billy's like, all right, I'm going to have to do something else.
That's smart.
He got hired by David Lee Roth to better or try to best Van Halen.
I think that didn't work, but it was better than goal. Languishing in a regional band.
Yeah, that was the goal. I think DLR was like, you know what? I'm going to get the best guitarist I can find. I'm going to get the best bass player I can find and the best drummer I can find so that I have 3 Eddie Van Halens in my band.
But he didn't have Eddie Van Halen.
But he didn't have Eddie Van Halen.
That was the one thing. He gave it a good try.
And never count out Alex Van Halen, the amazing drumming of Alex Van Halen as well. Nobody can come close to that guy. Plus, just those guys wrote songs that were amazing.
Yep. It was a little too much trying. He tried a little too hard with that, and it was getting stagnant or stale.
The secret sauce is the Van Halen writing.
Shtick. It wasn't David. It was the rest of the guys.
Yeah. Great lyricist, Daily Roth. But anyway.
Shibbity-doo.
Bozy bop.
Bitty bop. Yow!
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Talus, I always loved that band. They only have a few albums. The one that came out in 79, I want to say that Billy actually, at one point, he got rid of everyone in the band and kind of redid it because it wasn't going anywhere. And I think this may be the second incarnation on this album, maybe the next. No, I think it must be this one because I think they did a live album after this, and then I think he got the gig with DLR. So I could have my timeline off, but this is the album that I have and the live album ever since I had that tape. So now I have both of these on vinyl.
You're all
the actual Talus albums.
I'm mature and everything. Have albums.
That tape just, man, it solidified these 2 records for me. Like, just love it. Okay, well, let's get back to the Billy interview. Perhaps we will hear from one Captain Content in this segment.
Maybe pipe up on something.
Maybe. Okay, so the other thing is we did play a song from Cosmic Troubadour. We played that on, we played From the Backseat on one of our, we had an episode just about bass players, and that was the song I chose to play from you.
Thank you for playing it. It's cool.
So, I love all the things that you've done. So I want to play some Miwa. That's the one I've discovered recently. Am I saying it right? Miwa?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was, her boyfriend or husband, I'm not sure, is a kind of a vocal coach and a producer.
Okay.
And she's and he's a big guy, and she's this tiny little Japanese, wonderful, sweet woman.
So is she American or is she Japanese?
Japanese.
Okay, she is Japanese. Because if you Google her, there's like another famous Japanese pop star called Miwa. So it's like hard to find out information.
I see.
But I saw that you played on this album, and I went and I finally found it, the right one, not the pop one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, where did this woman get this voice from?
I know, it's just like this monster voice.
monster
metal.
voice. Like that is amazing. And then I just thought it was so odd, not odd, but just different for you to participate in something like that.
Yeah, I do like all kinds of stuff. My tastes are all over the map. I did a record recently. I produced a record by an artist named John Statham, and it's a little countrified, a little bit.
Well, you're in the right place.
But exactly. But we got Ray Luzier to play drums from Korn.
That's not country at all.
That's not country at all. But he did amazing. I mean, he's such a great drummer.
I think he's represented on here. I have KXM down there, so I believe he played on that. Yeah,
could be. Yeah. And we brought in a couple of Nashville session people, Pedal Steel, and a great record. Country isn't my thing, but quality is. There's something quality. Like I hear some Johnny Cash that's just really great. I got to give it to him. You know?
A great song is a great song.
Yes, that's not necessarily my thing, but whatever. Yeah. But especially since I've been recording since the pandemic at home, recording tracks for people, I've gotten the wildest array of the craziest stuff you could imagine. So some pretty great stuff. Some very together, but then some oddball, unusual, strange things where they, the non-professionals, but once in a while you get something that's all very, very together. But yeah, so I've been all over the map on my stylistic adventure for my home recording of clients around the world.
Nope, you didn't get a word in.
No. You could hear me in the background going, "Get it up!" No.
So, are you ready to hear some Billy Sheehan country?
No.
Oh, I'm not either. So we're not playing that.
No,
we're not going there.
No. People refer to Johnny Cash when they're talking about country. I'm like, I cannot get my brain around the fact that was considered country.
I know it seems like early rock and roll. It's too rebellious to be country.
Rebellious and dark and a lot of.
Yeah, rockabilly at best.
Drug-induced. I mean, I don't think about drug-induced music when I think about country, but it's tainted by today's country. That's why I hear country and just cringe. But back then, that was cool, man. Hank Williams Sr., dude, was never sober. Died in the back of a Cadillac. That's rock and roll, man.
That is rock and roll,
When your porch collapses and you have 4 dogs that are killed, that's country.
You're right. Because you got to sing about that.
Yeah, you got to sing about that.
Well, and that's what we're going to hear in this song from Billy. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going there. No, I couldn't do it. I didn't even look it up. I'll be honest. He said it was a great album. I'm like, okay, I'll trust you.
Yeah. You don't like country, but you live in Nashville.
But we are going to listen to an LA band formed by Sean Lee and Miwa in 1997. And the reason I asked if the lady was Japanese, I assume she was. She looks Japanese, but they're an LA-based band. So I didn't know if she was actually Japanese or just Japanese American.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she's actually Japanese and just happens to reside in LA. And if you go to their website, it's hard to find them because I think there's 2 different other Miwas that are pop idols in Japan.
Would you look in the phone book?
What the hell you say?
Looked in the phone book. That's how I got them. Went to the LA phone book. No, it took a while.
Oh, okay.
But don't confuse this band with the Japanese pop idol. I don't think you will once you hear them. But they have all these pictures of them with other artists. So I think what they do is they write the music. Miwa's the singer. Mm-hmm. They write the music, and then they kind of hire the hired guns to come in. So they had Billy Sheehan on 2 of their releases. Greg Bissonette from the David Lee Roth Band, who's played with Billy. He's also on drums on, I think, an EP. They had Mitch Perry on guitar from Steeler and Lita Ford in Asia. He's played with a bunch of different folks. Sean Elg they had on one, who is the drummer for KK's Priest. Chris Slade on another recording, who is the drummer that at one point was in AC/DC. And then they have a guy that I don't know his name, and I don't want to try to pronounce it because it's Swedish, but he played with Yngwie Malmsteen.
Slungenvarken.
Bjorn Englund, maybe that's right. I don't know.
England? That's what you couldn't pronounce? It's called England. It's a thing.
England.
It's part of an island.
Not England.
Oh, okay.
England.
Inside the gland.
Listen to me. I sound like an idiot.
Welcome to my world.
So I'm going to play a song from their 2020 album, which actually just got re-released last year. Wonder why? Because it came out in 2020 and nobody heard it. So they were like,
let's try it again.
That was a pandemic play, so let's do it again. Yeah, so they re-released this album. The album is titled Hell is Real, and the name of the song is Hell is Real. Here's Miwa. She has such a lovely voice, and then Satan comes in.
kind of torn listening to that because her voice is really powerful and the music was great. It was a little too overproduced, and I'm comparing it to the first song we played, which is very underproduced.
Right.
And I kind of liked it. It was a little bit loose when it comes to thrash, but like this is on the verge of the spectrum where it's a little overproduced. But also, I was bringing back bad memories of the ballerina I dated, that little Asian girl, Rachel.
That's basically what this lady looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I know I was stereotyping, but I was just guessing she probably wasn't really tall with that voice.
She's tiny.
Yeah, and Rachel had these little pointy fingers, and she wouldn't have to touch me. She'd just point at me, and it's like, oh God, no, don't, ew, ow. Like
she had all that discipline for being a ballerina.
Oh God, it was talk about. She made me look like I was completely laid back,
right,
and like hippie stoner compared to her. She was wound up way too damn tight. Yeah, so that I kept having flashbacks of.
So you were projecting all of that onto the song.
Yeah, when she was yelling and screaming, I'm like, oh God, yeah, no.
She reminds me of Udo from Accept.
Yes,
it's like all of a sudden you have this like cute little singer, good voice, and then it's like all of a sudden she turns into Udo.
That's exactly how it is with some women. They're all sweet, and then you piss them off. All gloves are off.
Well, if you're into that, the entire album is like that.
Okay.
But you did hear Billy still, he had to be Billy, man. He has to do his thing. Yeah, the guitarist has a lead, and then Billy's like, yeah, I'm going to join you for the next half of your lead.
Oh, that's not what you did there. Cute.
I like that. Let's do it together.
That was cute. Here, let me show you a better way to do that.
Yeah, and let me show you how I can take it a little bit further.
Yes.
I love Billy Sheehan. He's just his own dude.
He is always at 11 when he's playing.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back to some Billy talk. So I've had the pleasure of seeing you perform several times with Mr. Big, the Winery Dogs, Sons of Apollo, but my most vivid memory of seeing you live was the first time I saw you live, which was also the first time I saw Rush live. And I'm a huge Rush fan. And I saw the opening show of the Presto Tour in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes.
And I believe that was, obviously it was the first show of you guys with Rush. I don't know how much you guys had even played before that.
Yeah, we were on our...
Because I believe the album had just dropped, if I remember correctly.
The first record.
First record.
Yeah, we were just, we played some clubs and did some playing. And we were all experienced to a greater... Pat Torpey had just done a Robert Plant tour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we had a pretty good handle on it.
Yeah, no, to me it was just so fresh. Like everybody was just discovering Mr. Big, and for me, I was just discovering Rush because that was the year I got into Rush. Now I have something. I showed Eric this. We interviewed Eric a couple years ago as well, and I showed him this, and he was kind of amazed that it still exists. But I bought this at that first tour.
Wow, the Mr. Big hat and shoes. I still have the hat and shoes from the front from the record. I still have it.
So I bought that. This has been on every I call it my man cave room. So anywhere I've moved in since the 90s, I've always had this up on the wall. So
right on.
I showed it to Eric. He liked it. Now the other thing, I just mentioned Eric. So the other thing is in 2023, we interviewed him. It was right before you guys were starting to begin the tour with Mr. Big. And it was also right before your birthday. And we were talking, about you being here, and he was here, and obviously you weren't at the event. And he said, "Oh, it's his birthday in a few weeks." And I said, "I've got the perfect present for Billy. We have the perfect present for Billy because when you visited us, I think 4 years ago now at the other venue, we were handing out a certain potted meat, and you seemed to be very excited about this.
Underwood."
You remember.
And I remember you picked up the ham and you said, "Did you know that they have chicken?" And I said, "Why, yes, Billy Sheehan, I did know that." And I handed you a chicken as well. And so I would like to present to you, Mr. Billy Sheehan,
our special gift bag.
Special gift to you.
This could be the moment of Rockin' Pod. Oh, how great is this?
So I'm just going to tell you, in that bag, did you know that they have, this is a medley.
Wow.
They have ham, chicken, roast beef, corned beef, and liverwurst. And you have all of them now.
Oh man, this is a
most complete collection of potted meat.
Now there's
in
one
Nashville.
There's one more thing in there. There's a longer box in there, so that's just something. So I'm that's for the cats. So I am also a cat man. So I have 2 cats myself. So that's for your cats.
How great,
My cats love those.
Yeah, we have a pistachio and Pepper, our brother and sister. They're both the same age, of course. They were born together.
Mine are twins as well. I have two girls.
The boy is now over 15 pounds and under a year, so he's giant. He's huge. And they're both just great cats. They're silky, shiny, clean.
Yeah,
the girl is just...
I'm highly allergic, and I have 2 daughters, and they have been badgering me since they were young. Now they're teenagers, and they're like, "We want a cat." And so we did the research. We got a Siberian. We got 2 Siberians. I haven't had the first sneeze, watery eyes, nothing. So
fantastic.
I'm a cat dad now. So
you are welcome to the club. It's really cool.
Anyway, that's just a little something for you.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's so thoughtful. That's so great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
you could hear my eyes rolling in the back of my head.
Hey, if you were talking about dogs, you would have been fine.
Right, but we weren't. You're talking about cats with Billy Sheehan.
He loves his cats. You've seen his Facebook post. It's either food or cats.
Yeah, we talk about food, but you talk about cats. Yeah, I got a Siberian, and I got a groom, and I was like, oh, jeez, this just went downhill.
I was bonding with a hero. I was bonding.
Yeah, I was on my way over to the concession stand for a burger.
Hush up. But I believe he enjoyed his potted meat.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
He knew exactly. He had the Underwood comment even before we could say it.
He sparked a memory.
That was 2 years before. That's awesome. You remember that.
A while back. So what are we going to play out of that conversation? Well, he's in this band called Cat. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Do we have some commercials we dug up a few years ago for Underwood? Deviled ham.
Well, we could put that in.
Underwood deviled ham. It's all good ham and a pinch of spices. For good meat and good flavor, try the whole ham spread.
From Underwood.
But what we're going to do is similar to what we did when we talked with Eric Martin. And we spent a little more time talking with Eric about touring with Rush and what that was like. And we played a song that Eric, where he was covering Rush. He was playing on one of these trivia albums.
Oh, that's a sneaky way to get some Rush in here. I like that, sir. I like the way you think.
Let's do a little Billy covering some Rush, why don't we? Yes, from the same album that Eric's on, different song. Billy Sheehan is on about half of this album. It's called Working Man, a tribute to Rush. It came out in 1996, and it was released on the Magna Carta label, which I'm not even sure they're still around, but that was like a progressive rock label in the 90s, kind of a resurgence of stuff.
That was a huge time for prog rock.
Well, actually, it was. It was just underground, but there were a ton
underground.
There were a ton of prog metal bands at that time that were kind of up and coming because of all the Dream Theater hype that was going on.
There's some hangover effect.
Yeah. So anyway, it's on that label, and here is Billy on bass with Michael Romeo from Symphony X on guitar. You might remember Michael Romeo. We talked about him when we did our interview with the director.
Oh, for the horror movie?
For the horror movie.
Yeah.
Michael Romeo was the guy doing the soundtrack for him,
that's right.
doing the score.
The name sounded familiar.
Same dude. Michael Romeo's on guitar here. Mike Portnoy is playing drums. And on vocals, Jack Russell from Great White.
That's a great combo.
So you might be going, does this work? I think it works really well. So
he's
here
got
it
a
is.
range. I'm optimistic about this.
Great White's known for covering Led Zeppelin, so certainly he can do some Geddy.
They wanted anyone and everyone to call them the next Led Zeppelin. They were hoping and praying people would do that.
Yeah. So let's hear them do this song from this tribute album. This is off the 1982 Signals album by Rush. This is Analog Kid.
Hang on. Just a second. My brain is catching up.
Did you get your abacus out?
I'm still like 3.5 minutes into that song. I'm not quite finished, but my brain is processing all those leads. Holy, just God. I mean, they did the dual thing with the bass and guitar. You're like, okay, that's cool. And then he walks over and he does it with a keyboard player. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm not done yet. Got more.
Well, it's like they were playing it pretty true.
Same thing
to Rush, and then they got to the leads, and Michael Romeo's like, I got a Symphony X up this shit. And then Billy came over, right? Same thing. Like Billy let him play some lead, and he's like, whoa. Let me join you here
Watch
for the
this.
second half.
I saw what you did there.
I see what you did. Let's do it together.
God.
And then the keyboard player's like, wait,
wait, over here.
Yeah.
Come here. Wow.
Badass, though, right?
Badass is a great way to describe that. And at the beginning, before all that kicked in, my brain was thinking about how it sounded like Rush, except for the most obvious thing was the vocals, because Geddy Lee has such a unique, high-pitched voice. So number one, I could understand the lyrics. And it was just interesting listening to it like that. And I know there are a small handful of people out there, bless their hearts, that do not like Rush simply because of Geddy Lee's voice.
Yeah, love him or hate him.
Yeah,
voice.
my cousin Frank, who's been on the show, threw me off one day when he said, I can't
hate
stand
that
Rush. I'm like, what? You don't like Rush? How can somebody not like Rush?
You know who doesn't like Rush?
Brandon.
Sonny Pooney.
But he doesn't like anybody
Well, this
or
is true.
anything.
This is true. He doesn't like anything.
He likes hamburgers, but other than that.
I don't know if he even likes hamburgers.
I saw him eat one, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
Might not have liked it, but he ate one. But yeah, that's a great interpretation of it, because it lulled you in thinking, oh, it's just a cover. And they're like, and here's the glove just came off.
They were like, it was put out by Magna Carta. So the execs from Magna Carta were in the booth, and you're like, hey, we're a prog label.
Yeah, you got
Let's prog it up, people.
Prog it up a little bit.
And hit the prog button now.
Damn.
But I just love
But it
that
wasn't too
song.
much for me. Like, normally the proggy stuff gets lost on me after a certain amount of time, but still, that was the right amount.
What a great song to add to the album that you don't hear that often from Rush. It's one of those deeper cuts on Signals.
Oh, I love Analog.
I love that song.
Yeah, that was not the first synth album. I always get them mixed up.
No, they were playing synth in the 70s.
I mean, but heavy.
Like heavy synth, I would say Permanent Waves.
Permanent Waves, that was the one. And so I'm that dickhead that loves that better than the early stuff.
You know what? As much as I love the proggy 70s stuff, I'm with you. If I'm going to listen to Rush nowadays, I typically stay in that 80 to 87 range. That's the stuff I love the most.
God, it's so good. I can't hear. I mean, I've heard Subdivisions 1,000,003 times.
Same album, right?
And it's still
love that song too.
Every time.
Yeah, between those 4 albums, you had Permanent Waves, you had Moving Pictures,
Power Windows,
Signals, and Grace Under Pressure. Well, yeah, you can even go then Power Windows, and then Hold Your Fire. It's like all of those are just, I love them so much.
I gotta figure
most
out how
people hate them.
I know.
Like, that's the spot that most people hate.
The purists will kick me in the nuts for saying that. But yeah, somebody's got to show me how, if there's a way on Spotify, I got a playlist, but you got to put all the albums in there and just do random off all the albums instead of just playing through the albums. I know there's a way to do it.
You know why you can't do it?
I'm an idiot.
Because Spotify sucks.
Yeah, they do, but it's all I got. We can't pick up anything else around here. The Firehouse doesn't have great signals, so yeah.
Your Spotify wave.
Yeah, the wave's coming in. I have to go have an antenna on the roof.
Yeah. You had to put some tinfoil on it.
Pipe it in from Albuquerque.
Oh, man, I love it, though. Puts a smile on my face to hear some Rush.
Yeah, that was a great way to end it.
Glad we were able to put that in there. All right, so let's get back to some Billy here. We gave him some meat, but we're still talking to him. He still wanted to have a few more minutes with us. So
our man meat.
What the hell did you just say?
Let's get into it. So knowing that we're not going to cover things that, you're talking to most of the people about, I want to kind of go into something else. So I'm a big lover of Japanese music. And what I noticed was that obviously you guys have done well in Japan with your groups, but also you've played with some Japanese artists that I would like to feature. So one of the things I was going to ask you about is your work with Mari Hamada as well as Kuni.
Yeah, Mari Hamada, she contacted me years ago to play on a couple of tracks, and it was It was really great. She's a great artist, and then
she's huge.
Yeah,
like
giant
over there.
Yeah, and she's kind of proggy, but she comes out in these beautiful gowns, and she's really cool. Really wonderful woman too. And so then we did it again, and Greg Bissonette from the Eat 'em Smile band was going to play drums. So we were both in the studio together in L.A. at A&M Studios. And we got there, and her stuff is prog, but it's a little bit complicated sometimes. So we go, I see Greg for the first time. I go, hey, Greg, how you doing? He goes, hey, how did you do learning this song? I go, it was tough, but I got it. He goes, I had to hire a transcriptionist. He had to hire somebody to write that because it was so complicated.
But he's like master of charts.
I know. Unbelievable. For him to have a hard time with that, I'm thinking, geez. So he had his notes up on the wall of the room he was recording, spread all the way across the wall, written in big, trying to play it and see it. And so we got through it. We got through that one. So I thought next time I got to be more careful before and that's what I do a lot when I record for other clients. I got to hear it first before I commit, because it could be either something that I just don't want to be involved in, or also something so complicated to take me a week. Because I don't read, I have to learn by ear and then perform the song. So even if it's complicated,
do you do any kind of charts? Do you have your own version? No, you just, you just listen to it and do it.
Write out, C thing 4 times. G minor.
So many bars to the bridge or whatever, and
the grandma chord number 3.
Yeah, Hendrix part.
Weird triangle thing.
So she sent me 2 more tracks. And I was ready for it. Oh, no, I left a part of the story. So I thought, man, the next time this comes around, I should be more careful. So out of nowhere, she calls me having a 30-year anniversary, wants to fly me to Japan to come up and play 2 songs.
To do a show,
at Budokan. So after she did that, I thought, well, whatever she request. She was so kind, so generous of her. So she sent me 2 more songs. So listen to the first one. Okay, that's in my range. Listen to the second one. Oh, my God. They had done the bass part on a MIDI keyboard.
Of course.
Super.
You can play that, right?
I had to play bass.
The way the hand stretches the keyboard is the same, right?
It's a little different. and all super low. So when you play really fast things low, it takes all this extra. So I had to do it all on a 6-string bass. And it was this MIDI pressure all over the place. And so I managed to learn it and get it down and send it off to her, waiting to hear. And so I finally got, okay, we got the parts. Is everything okay? Oh, yeah, we're fine. I dodged a bullet there. So I haven't done it yet, but I want to get in touch with her and say, can you give me permission to release, I'm going to put your MIDI bass parts on the left channel and my bass on the right channel, and it's going to be called Man versus Machine.
Oh, I love that. That'd
be
awesome.
So tough to do.
What you got?
I'm just letting you finish the interview. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh. Sorry. At some point, you were going to say something.
It's like,
no. Sorry. See,
Sorry.
I don't know what I did there. Oh, man.
You're doing great.
So, so obviously we're going to listen to a little Mari Hamada and see what that all sounds like. But I don't know if everybody knows, but Mr. Big were huge in Japan. So when they did their farewell performance, their final tour last year, they actually ended in Japan because that's where they had their most success.
Opening up for Cheap Trick live at Budokan. Yeah.
No, they sold out 2 nights at Budokan for their final shows, their final 2 shows.
That's pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive to this day. So as Billy stated, and I think I said the same thing, Mari Hamada is huge. Like, she's big in Japan. Obviously, we don't know her here in the States, but in Japan, she's known as the queen of heavy metal, and she's been so since the early 90s.
Oh, wow.
So she's released 25 singles in her career, 23 studio albums. She's had 2 #1 albums on the Oricon charts, which are like our Billboard charts in Japan. She's had 12 top 40 albums. 4 have gone platinum and 1 gold album. So she's done rather well in her home country. We just don't know her here until now. So I'm going to play from her very latest album.
Wait, are we allowed to play this with the new immigration laws?
I think we are, yeah.
Okay,
I think
we get special permission.
Well, I tariffed them already.
Good.
So,
yeah. Triple tariffs.
It's
double stamp, triple
audible
tariffs.
tariff.
Audible tariff. At $20.
Yeah, so if you don't fast forward, you are going to owe us money.
Yeah. Breaking in the dough.
So here's some Mari Hamada from 2023 featuring Billy Sheehan and once again Michael Romeo on guitar here. So you know what we're going to get? Some incredible leads that Billy's going to go, hey, I'm going to join you here in the second half. Let's see. This is called Prism from her album Soar.
man, those lyrics, it was like she was singing about me. I was
connected.
I
Did you
connected
connect
with his lyrics.
Good.
I
I'm
get a
glad.
little emotional back here just listening to that. Every word.
You dick!
And then there was some music along with it too. That it was there. It was very subtle.
It's so Japanese though.
Yes.
It is like the way that they do their epics. It's like the most melodramatic. Yes, he likes the Japanese
Speaking
metal,
of
does he?
melodramatic.
But they just, you knew right away where
were there
it was from.
30 people on stage? How many musicians?
There's a lot going on.
Does it take to make that wall of noise?
There's a lot going on.
I mean, the runs up and down, up and down. There weren't chords anywhere in that song. It was just runs and arpeggios.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I can only imagine, though, being brought in to play on one of these tracks, and to his point, like Greg Bissonette having to chart that out.
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't do it. I'm going to hire somebody.
There's not enough paper in Japan. And they make paper, if you didn't know that.
Well, and then you'd have to write it from, was it top to bottom and then over?
Left, up and around, and flip the paper over and fold it, connect the dots.
I love that kind of stuff. I know it's not for everybody, but
once in a while, for me, it's okay. Like that was enough for about another month.
Okay.
I'm good for a month.
So no Japanese episode
no
for
more
another
Japanese
month. Okay.
Maybe.
Well, can I give you one more? I'm going to give you one more.
Spoke too soon.
You spoke too soon. But
I may need a beer now.
The only thing comparable, I think, if you're not into prog music, but the only thing I can think that's somewhat on the mainstream level here in the States would be Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yes. Okay. I didn't think about it till just now. That tracks really well.
Yeah.
Like the same.
Yeah, it's very epic. It's almost classical, but it's rock and orchestral.
I said orchestral.
That's right. You were in the marching band. You weren't in the orchestra.
Instantly realized before I'd finished the word that I'd fucked it up. It's like, stop.
Oh, well, it happens.
Yeah.
You were trying to think of the Japanese word.
Damn water I'm drinking. That was a mistake.
It's orchestral in Japanese.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So that's
I
why
got
you
that
said
right,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
She and I have a connection.
All right. Well, let's continue our dialogue about Japanese artists with
Kevin,
Mr.
what are
Billy
your
Sheehan.
thoughts? Oh, you mean the
No.
Billy. I thought you meant between you and I.
Let's hear from Mr. Sheehan.
Yeah, he's more interesting.
Now, the other artist I mentioned was Cooney. I think you only worked with that artist in the 80s.
Yeah,
One Night album, right?
It's a funny thing. Cooney's a dear friend. I'll say this story now. I think at this point he'll get a laugh in it. Mike Varney, Spotlight on New Talent, he gets submissions from all over the place. And he got a submission from Cooney. And he was wearing this weird feather mask. And Mike, I don't even know if he really listened to his guitar playing. He just, I got to put him in the magazine. It's just hilarious. So he did. And so sure enough, Cooney ended up getting a good record deal in Japan because of that. So then he comes to L.A. and he hired a whole bunch of people and hired me for a couple songs. And then it was pretty good. He's a decent player. I actually went to Japan at one point. All of us did and played live with him one time. But he turned out to be to work with me and the promoter and all the record companies, and he was always kind of like a facilitator for many, many things. Then when I played with that band, the Bees, Japanese band, he was
the biggest Japanese band ever.
Giant, unreal.
Yeah. More bigger than Next Japan, even. I think.
They sold more records than Madonna, and they only play in Japan. Every show was an 80,000 seat soccer arena sold out.
Unreal.
So he worked with me with that too. So he's a dear, dear, dear friend.
So I know we got to wrap here. Did you know who replaced you on bass? I say this tongue in cheek. Do you know who replaced you on bass in 2000 for Cooney?
No.
Paul Stanley.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I was like, wait a minute, Paul Stanley replaced Billy Sheehan? Yeah, sort of.
I just played on Peter Criss's record.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's got a solo record coming out. It's great stuff too.
Oh, wow, that's a scoop.
What a joy to work with him.
You just made him excited.
Wow,
really
I'm a Kiss
excited.
guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, hey, what a great guy. He's a sweet man. We had a wonderful time talking on the phone. I did my best for him, of course, and should be out pretty soon.
That's amazing.
Of course, that's old news by now, but we were the first.
We were actually
goobers to hear that at the podcast convention.
He dropped that, and I mentioned it right after the interview to Chris Senzak, and he's like, I didn't know about that. And I said, well, you guys, if you want like a scoop that you can give to Brave Words or any of those, or whoever those digital magazines are, but go for it.
That was dumb because they've made like $300,000 off their podcast because of that. They got so many subscribers.
Actually, they never dropped it.
Oh, they didn't?
They completely forgot. I sent it to Aaron Camaro, and he completely forgot.
Oh.
You son of a bitch. You no good damn.
And by that point, it had come out on another podcast.
Snooze you lose, guys. We're trying to make you lots of money
help,
here.
But you could have been the big times. Oh wait, you already are.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
bigger times.
I thought that was funny. He just kind of threw that out there, and I'm glad that he didn't say something that, it did come out 2 weeks later, but he did say it to us kind of before it was out
supposed
there.
to, yeah. Somebody at the record company was like, okay, Billy,
I guess he's like,
let's get on board here.
I don't give a shit. We're both in our 70s,
Really?
Billy Sheehan's 72 years old. Man, is he in good shape for his age. And Peter Criss, obviously, I think he's hitting 80 soon. But
yeah. I mean, not bad. They're 40 years older than us.
So we're not going to play one of those songs because it hasn't dropped yet. So we don't have that. But we're going to play some Kuni because he talked about his buddy Kuni. And this guy, if you go look up, it's Kuni. If you just go put in Google images.
No relation to Pooney.
No relation to Sonny Pooney.
Yeah.
Sonny Kuni. No. But if you go look this guy up, you will see exactly what Billy talked about. In his early press photos, he was kind of doing the thing like those guys from New York that we were just talking about. The guy that he got to play bass for him later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wear wigs?
Yeah, those guys, he was sort of doing the thing that
a sock in his pants.
What the hell did you just say?
What the fuck is happening here?
Kiss connection, because Billy threw it out there.
He did.
With a K. So he was wearing like this big feathered mask. All of his pictures, he has this crazy peacock feathers, and it's like up to, I don't know, must be like 3 feet above his head.
Big blue font.
Very Japanese, very ex-Japan, kind of, same time, or right before, I guess. Now, Billy mentioned Varney. I'm assuming he was talking about Mike Varney. He's the guy that owned Shrapnel Records back in the day, and I assume he still does. But that was the 80s, 90s guitar shredder. So Steeler with Yngwie Malmsteen and Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, Paul Gilbert, Vinnie Moore, Tony McAlpine, all those guys that were just amazing guitarists. They were all on the Shrapnel label. And so sounds like Kuni also got a deal because Mike Varney took interest into his feathered picture. But kind of cool.
That's the reason peacocks have those feathers. Look at me. Look at me.
So what is Kuni? His band is kind of melodic heavy metal from Tokyo. His first full-length studio album came out in 1986. That's the one we're going to play from. He only released 2 albums in the 80s, and then he took a 10-year break and has since released 3 more of them. So not a lot of output, but I did mention Paul Stanley. So Paul plays bass on his album called Fucked Up from 2000.
Such deep creative process for that.
Yeah. It's not quite Mari Hamada.
Yeah.
What we just heard. But it also features Eric Singer on drums. So I guess they, got a package deal of Kiss guys. So here we go. We're going to play from that very first album. This is Billy Sheehan back in 1986. So this is full on Billy in his DLR days playing with Kuni. It's a song called East Meets West.
Tokyo nights, the fire.
surprised Sharon Osbourne hasn't sued them for ripping off Bark at the Moon. Listen to that guitar riff at the beginning, all through the song, and as a matter of fact, just the rhythm.
Little Jakey Lee sounding.
Yes, Bark at the Moon. But other than that, it was a great song. I liked it. Once again, it's in that sweet spot. It's not overproduced, not underproduced, kind of in the middle there.
It sounds very 1986.
Yeah, it does.
When it came out.
It really is a time warp.
Yeah. For some weird reason, I guess because of I know when it came out and it just has that sound, I could just see myself skateboarding to that. Well, when I say that, what I really mean is, falling.
Falling, ow.
Yeah. Falling a lot and trying to skateboard.
You said 86?
86.
That was the year before the Camaro. So I'd have been driving around in my dad's Mazda B2000 truck. We've said this. We had the same. Basically, our dads both had the same truck, basically, that we had to drive to high school. So, that was before I was
yours
really
had
cool.
power steering.
It had power steering. It had a 5-speed manual, which was great because I could race it. And I'd drag race. My friend had an MG and would beat him. And that was one of the most embarrassing moments for him. I don't know if he ever lived that down because he thought this was a sports car. MG.
Was it automatic?
No, it was just an MG. They're crap cars, but it was, it was a sports in quotation marks, sports car. And at some point we were going somewhere and I managed to get next to him and just had about 2 car lengths ahead of him in a Mazda B2000 truck. He never lived that down.
Well, how appropriate. We just played a Japanese artist and you were driving a Mazda.
Japanese car, just whooped his ass.
Nice. Okay, so we just have a little bit of the interview left, so let's wrap this up with Billy, and then I'm going to play something a little bit different for you.
Well, it has been an absolute honor to talk to you.
You guys,
thank you.
You guys are the champion podcast winner.
Enjoy your podcast,
This is so great. Thank you so much. I remember that specifically now.
Pace yourself with it, though.
Yeah. Don't eat all once.
Don't just knock it out.
I'll spread it out. Only one a week.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, it's so great. Thank you.
Yeah, can we get a quick picture?
Sure thing.
Don't leave that in there. That's behind the scenes stuff.
Well, I'm going to put the picture as...
We sound like geeks, man.
Of course we got a picture with them.
Yeah, we don't have
but
to
I'm going to put a
sound
picture.
like it.
I'm going to put a picture of us.
Yeah,
with
but I
Billy.
like to pretend that
got.
he's the one that said, "Hey, man, I'd like to get a picture with you guys." We could have easily said that.
Well,
now we can't.
Now we've shattered that. We've shattered that whole image.
Sharded all over that.
Oh man, I said it. I said a lot. I said a whole lot during that whole thing.
But it's quality.
It was such an honor to
some quantity,
to talk
but
to him.
Mostly quality.
Yeah, mostly. If you can understand what I'm saying, if I'm not going too fast, but that was just cool. That's just almost like a bucket list kind of a thing for me to be able to talk to him.
That really is
super cool.
I don't have any more heroes left. Like I said, David Gilmour needs to stay over there. I don't want to meet him.
Oh, let me see if I can hook that up.
Yeah, he needs to stay over there, retire. Like he's doing the best job of being an aging rock star. He has little shows once in a while, but he's not trying to relive the glory years, not trying to be who he used to be. And, he's just going out very gracefully. But a lot of rock stars have not done that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. He actually put out a pretty decent album last year, too, that did well.
I haven't even listened to it.
I haven't either. That should be our homework. We should listen to some new David
I was kind of
Gilmour.
scared because, I
thought it might be a little bit.
He's on a pedestal. I have put him on the pedestal.
Old Man Yawning record.
Yeah, because the one he put out a couple of years ago was
Old Man Yawning record.
Yeah, it was kind of that. I was like, I shouldn't listen to it, but it's good, but it's just not comfortable enough.
Right.
And nothing will be.
So at the beginning of this episode, when we played the first snippet of Billy, I mentioned, I was geeking out because I put him up there on that pedestal with Geddy Lee, with Chris Squire.
It's a big pedestal.
It is. And I just realized as we were chatting just now, I realized that I actually have had a brief conversation with each of those guys.
Yep.
Chris Squire's no longer with us, but I had a very brief moment where I met him and had a little chat with him. Same thing with Geddy, although I didn't get to talk to Geddy much because
Brandon
was sucking up the air in the room. Literally. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I didn't even think
cool.
about that until just now.
And you only killed one of them.
Oh, well, it happens.
Why, did you meet Neil at the same time?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I see a pattern here.
You dicks!
Don't meet your idols, because then they die.
Because I kill them.
You kill them with kindness.
All right, so let's end with something a little bit different. How about we'll get away from the metal, because Billy said he likes all types of music. Let's play some country.
And Western.
No, we're not going to do that. No, I'm going to play something that he's done. Well, I guess they've taken a little break, but he did it for a number of years. They released 8 albums since 1996, and I think their last one it's maybe been like 10 years.
Menudo.
It's a jazz funk.
What the hell did you just say?
Did you say Menudo?
Are they still around?
I don't think so.
They just keep changing the members, so they could theoretically be around. I didn't know if they'd brought him in for something.
Why would they want Billy Sheehan in Menudo?
Well, just to break it up a little bit.
Although his version of Shopping Mall is pretty impressive.
Okay.
Una cosa puedes encontrarla en un shopping mall. Cosas chinas, filipinas, cosas indias, plumas en un shopping mall.
All right. No, I'm talking about the jazz funk trio called Niacin.
Oh, yeah.
That features Billy, Dennis Chambers on drums, who's just a jazz legend, and John Novello on Hammond organ and keys. So no guitars in this stuff. This is just groovy, funky. I wouldn't even call it jazz, but it's just cool, man. So we're going to play a little Niacin from 2000. This is a song called Clunkified.
Clunkified or cluck? Like
Clunk.
a chicken. Clunk.
Clunkified.
Okay, clunkified. You drive a clunker. Got it. I had to make sure.
All right,
okay,
there we go.
We're good. that qualifies Guinness Book of World Records for the most notes in a riff. Not the whole song, not in a lead.
Just the main riff.
Just the main riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... God.
It's jazz, man.
Yeah, jazz, whatever. That's insane. That's musical insanity. Needs counseling.
It's good. I love it.
Therapy.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
8 albums of that. You just put it on repeat.
God. No.
Shuffle and repeat.
No, it was good, but my brain can't handle it. Like I said, I got to play like 2 or 3 songs, then go take a walk and let that sink in a little bit, have some lunch, make a sandwich, and then come back and listen to a couple more songs.
I just wonder what he hears when he listens to a song and is thinking of a part for it.
Yeah, it's such a different part of the
What's
brain.
in his head?
Between the rock side things and the jazz side of things, it's an amazing thing. I can't do it, but
amazing
I respect
players.
it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing players. Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we kind of already said it.
Said
He
it
was, you know,
Literally.
what would you have said to him if you had had a chance?
So was Mr. Roth as big of a douchebag in person as he seems like he would be?
Is that what you had on your notes?
Yeah. How much do you hate David Lee Roth? Like what level? 9, 10? What's the level of hatred there for that man?
I thought you might have asked, how did you deal with Eric Martin and his crazy energy?
He had just dealt with David Lee Roth.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I assumed that it was a step down from David Lee Roth, because Eric Martin was actually speaking in real words. He used a lot of them and was very energetic.
he was all over the place.
And I can get wound up, as you well know. It's been documented many times, but David Lee is certifiable.
No. Remember, Baco calls him David LaRoth. So
That's right.
David
Yeah.
LaRoth.
Sorry, that's the actual name. His God-given name. Yeah, David LaRoth with the umlaut.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad that you had something prepared.
Oh, yeah. I just
you had the chance.
Nope. I threw the notes up in the air. You couldn't see that because it's a podcast. There was no video.
You were shredding them and just throwing them behind you. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, it was great.
At least. Thank you.
It's like listening to the podcast all over again.
All right, people. Until next time. See you later. Paul Gerbert. Let me say that again. That is not what it's supposed to sound like. I thought it had stopped. I'm so paranoid now.
I know. Well, it was very traumatic.
Apparently.